Welcome back, episode 39. Getting Our Podcast, Anthony here. It's been a moment. Easter was come and gone. I actually didn't go away. I was thinking about it, but I got a lot of things coming up with work and timing with the kids just didn't work out, so I actually didn't go away, which isn't the end of the world. Always another time to go away. We still did a couple of day things here and there. Holiday's just about to end, and I'm sure there's people still away, just coming back. Hope you all had a great time. I hope everything was safe out there and you get to make the most of the time. The weather on Easter was peaking in Victoria. Like, it was not windy, it was sunny, it's just perfect. And the sun, the Monday was a little bit damp, but look, everyone I know that went away had a great time. It's nice to hear people have some positive times away. I lent out some of my gear to some other people. I'm actually planning a trip in May where I'm going to go high country, inviting a few people out. And hey, if you're a listener, you want to go away, now's your chance. May 22nd weekend, I'm looking at going away. A few friends, whatnot. If you guys are looking in that area, then high country, possibly Dargo, possibly try and do Blue Rag, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, reach out to if anyone wants to go, come. Just an overnight or maybe 2 nights. I don't know yet. Just putting the idea out there. So if you feel free to come, now's your chance. You can reach out. I've got my socials, got my email. So happy to do so. It's going to be just a bit of a convoy trip in swags, or you want to bring a tent, whatever. I'm not bringing the kids. It'd just be a bit of a boy, without the kids trip, let's call it. I'm planning a few things more in spring and summer with the kids. Winter's sort of one of those things we're just going to put on hold depending on the weather, particularly camping. Tracks are closed anyway in that particular time. We might do a day trip to the snow, which is always really good fun. I've got tips for that one too. It can be expensive, but borrowing a few things and going to Aldi or Marketplace is a good way to go. But it's funny because, you put fuel in the car today. Commonly a four-wheel drive is diesel, and you look, even with the excises and stuff, and what was a crisis is not a crisis, which is now a crisis now. And the $3.20 a litre really does sting the back pocket, and I can understand, and it sucks. I feel for every small business owner, anyone that has to spend, their more entire budget on diesel. Not to mention going away and buying food, even food for the everyday week is just, it's creeping up. Yes, we see it. I see it. I feel it. I get it. But, to spend $20 million on advertising how to save fuel in your car, and, we're talking about spending $20 million of, our taxes on advertising online that we're all in a scatter, giving, kind of the COVID vibes. Sorry for saying it, but, it just really makes me angry and upset that, people have to second guess going away. Like, we've got 2 refineries, one in Queensland and one in Melbourne. And I've been to both. I've serviced both. I'm in sales. I've gone to both plants and seen how they work and their supply a limited amount of our fuel. And, we got Canoa and WA sitting in care and maintenance that can just fire up again to send the oil and, refine, baby, refine, as I say. But, to spend $20 million and just to tell people how to, put extra air in your tires if they're flat, or, don't. I'm looking at the website now just for a bit of a giggle. Travel light. Minimize air conditioning, heating on low settings. Only fill up when you need. That's common sense. Who's putting fuel in the car if they don't need it? Like, I don't believe anyone was panic buying. I hate people. I was at a servo the other week, and some guy in a Hilux was filling up, some jerry cans, and people were haggling him like, "You don't need that fuel." I'm like, mate, how do you know he hasn't got a tractor, to do his crops, or it's no one's business of what you do with the fuel at the servo. Just let people be. It's like when people used to walk around without a mask or something, or it's just like, it's crazy. Like with that, those vibes are back, and I hate it. And my message to people is just leave people alone. You see people filling up Jerry's. If they're going to go motorbikeing in Ilden, or they're filling it up for their ride on mower or whatever, who cares? Let them be. More importantly, ask him, hey, you going away? Oh, actually, no. I'm saying just leave them alone, really. But think about it. They're probably going away to entertain their kids or entertain themselves after busting their ass at work, having to work overtime to pay for that fuel. Like, I just find it quite horrible that people would be going back and doing that. Like, just leave it, It's funny, like they're even telling you how to monitor your speed and acceleration. High speeds can result in fuel consumption. 110 kilometers an hour, your fuel uses 25% more fuel than 90 k's an hour. So what? We've got the 110 zone, and people are going to start driving at 90 k. Yeah, that's safe. Of course, when old mate with the B doubles behind you doing 100 and going up the hill on the Hume, yeah, you just to save fuel, you're going to cause a major accident. Well done. Minimize idling, monitor your fuel use, travel alternatives, minimize your vehicle's use. You know what? I'm assuming I couldn't imagine people just go out and do what they need to do because they don't want to. Like, you got to get your kids from Auskick, you got to get your kids from school, you got to go to work. Like, I might be a little bit crazy here to say I mustn't be the only one saying this in their head or not too scared to say it out in public, but I'm sick of holding back and just saying, like, the problem was not created by us by overfilling our tanks. The problem was created because the government didn't have a plan, and now they're going in scare mode and blame us. Like, years ago that happened, and people started turning on each other. I don't want that again. I want to help people. And if I'm the voice of reason and I'm the one putting my voice out here on my podcast to say it, yeah, so be it. If you don't like what I'm saying and it's triggering you, yeah, fair enough, turn it off. If you don't like what I'm saying, you don't agree with me, happy to have a conversation, but don't be abusive. Like, I can't see the sales for Rams and SR2 Silverados that are big V8s are still selling. Like, good. If that's what people want to spend the money on them, I respect that. Like, if you're cancelling holidays because of the cost of fuel, like, that sucks. And some people have to be put in that position, and that's fair enough. And I'm really sorry to hear that. And, like, is there any way I can help, teach people how to find cheaper accommodation or borrow stuff, have a network of, maybe I can make a Facebook group where people can put their stuff online and say, hey, I've got a tent that I live in Croydon, if anyone wants to borrow. Because someone's probably just going out Anaconda at the moment and looking at a tent for their family trip and going, far out, $300 to go away this weekend on a tent. Like, people don't want to spend that money sometimes, and I respect that. But if you had a forum where people can go, hey, I want to borrow a tent, and someone goes, yeah, no worries, borrow mine. And, if it is like a $20 or a slab or something, but, obviously there's T's and C's for it, and I don't want to get involved with it. But if it's like a friend of a friend or something and you trust them, go for it. I'm not telling you how to do you, but I don't know. Just, there's got to be better ways of doing that. Like, $20 million. I would, if I was, say, a family going away to Inverloch to a Big Four, I would rather the government say, here's a $100 voucher. Go on your holiday, spend money on fuel, spend money on the holiday, and we'll provide you a voucher towards that trip, or like some money back, or give the Big Fours or even people traveling on holiday some form of like a special discount on fuel. They did it for Gather Round. Shell sponsored the fuel. Coles, they sponsored the Gather Round, and they gave people 10 cents a voucher off their fuel to go to Gather Round. Like, surely we can do something in that in the outdoor industry, because essentially what's next? They're going to tell us that we're not allowed to drive X amount of kilometers away from our house. Like, exactly, the vibes are back, and I don't want that. Like, are they going to tell us that, we can only travel 2 suburbs, 2 districts away? Like, I don't know. you can say I'm putting my Tim hat on, but let's be realistic. We've been through it before, but a lot of people won't comply this time. Like I'm in sales. The car at the front, I have done nearly 52,000 Ks in a year. I travel to Bendigo. I travel to, Orbos. I travel to New South Wales. I travel to Warrnambool. I even travel to Adelaide in the car. How am I supposed? If they restrict me from filling up my car, like my bills, I'll be realistic. My bill was $430 last week in fuel, but that's covered by work. But imagine a small business that's running an electrician company running 6 vans, all in petrol. Like, his bills are through the roof. Yes, they can afford it to the customer, but they've probably quoted customers already. You can't ask for it. It's hard. It's that awkward conversation. You're restricting your income to save money. They should be offsetting small businesses of fuel like that. They should be offsetting mums and dads who drive their kids to school and, drive to work and after, like, a little bit of offset. It's funny. There is a little loophole in the school system that if you drive your children to school over 20 minutes away, you can actually apply to the school for a bit of a fuel discount. I'll put the details online if anyone's interested. But if you drive your kids to school 25 minutes away and that's their only deemed of education, say you're in the country and you drive from Heathcote to Bendigo, right? And you got to drive your kids up and back at school, you can actually apply via the government a bit of a discount or a bit of a rebate back on the fuel you're using to drive your kids to get their education, because there's no other means of getting the education, particularly for single parent families who their kids may live further away from the dad's house than they do the mum's house. There is a little excise your fuel you can actually do. Have a look into it. I can't, but that's fine. That's, you got to comply with that, which is fine. But there's other particular reasons you can do that. And, fair enough. Your kids need education. If their education is a fair distance away, particularly in regions, like, like the regions are the ones that are going to cop it again. Like, they're not going to have visitors go to their caravan parks because people are cancelling. There's particular caravan parks actually forward emailing, hey, if you cancel your accommodation, we'll give you a full refund if you can't afford to come during Easter, weeks out prior to Easter. Like, that's wild. How do you, and if you see that, you're a parent, you go, oh, wow, I could save X amount of money and cancel a holiday. But, the implications of cancelling a holiday and your kids generally sucks. Even yourself, like, you need a breakaway. I haven't had a breakaway in a while, admittedly, and I'm itching for one. I've done a few staycations and whatnot, but, honestly, I was burnt out before Easter with work. I'm in sales. I go by month and by quarter. And to achieve the goal, I had to get, my budget went up 40% from last year. And I achieved the goal, but hell, it was a lot of work to get to that point. And that's being brutally honest. And after, I was too tired to go anywhere for Easter. I was too fatigued. I would have loved to, but everywhere was booked out. Some people already had plans. I respect that. I didn't particularly want to go solo. So, and the kids were coming home Sunday, so I made my plans the way I did, and it worked out fine. But, and I think a lot of people felt that way because, it's a lot of mental stress, putting up stuff at work, family life, stuff going on around the world. It's mentally exhausting. And admittedly, that's why I blocked out that part in May to say I'm going away. To go away camping. I need that time. And that's the purpose I made this podcast, is that outlay to talk about that. But how would you spend $20 million if you're the government to tell people how to, use their fuel in the car? Or like, what incentives would make people happy actually in advertising that actually works to make a difference? Because really, the fuel supply will get out there. I don't believe we're going to be in a crisis that hard. That's my personal opinion. Don't want to scare anyone. But in the end of the day, like, we're so reliant on fuel. It's not funny. Like, you can catch public transport to the city, that's fine. But have you ever caught public transport from Chelsea to, say, Epping Way to go to a friend's party, you're not going to go catching the train in the middle of the night on the way home. Yes, it's free. It's not technically free. We're still paying one way or the other. But, going out regional, like the public transport's impossible nearly. I think some of the best part is just carpool with someone. I would happily carpool. I've got 2 available seats in my car, other than my two kids in the car. I could put a seat in the middle between them and have a passenger there. Carpooling is probably one of the most logical things you can do to help save fuel, particularly if you're going away. I'd happily say to my cousin or my mate, you want to go away with me? I've got a front seat. Let's go. Even another one in the back seat. Before I have to start putting more stuff on the roof and, before, you start kind of reviewing, doing different things. But, hey, you can go Harveys and fuel. You can do so many different things. It just reduces the costs. So I think carpooling is one of the best ways of starting off. What's worked for you? I'd love to hear what you guys got to say. You know how to reach out to me. But I think, the scare tactics of a national message when it was literally 180 seconds and nothing said was a scare tactic. I don't know, just gave me bad vibes. It was a bit of a laughing stock, to be honest. But, the other thing I would do is fill up on the Princess Freeway before going into Dargo. I've got a 150 litre tank. I can. Carry a jerry of fuel if you need to, just in case Lacola or Dargo run out of fuel, which is quite possible. The truck may break down going there with the tanker. They may have more demand than what they thought. Like, that's out of your control. What's in your control is just better planning. If you got that trip planned, just go on your merry way and do it and just make it work. Maybe sell some stuff on Marketplace. Maybe even get, I would always say service your car, your brakes, your tyres and everything before you go away. Make sure your car's serviced. You don't want to break down, because I'll tell you what, that's more expensive getting towed. That's probably the most important thing I would do. Carpooling, just doing some smarter things like that. They even recommend taking roof racks off your car and not using them, or platforms and stuff and awnings off your car while you're not using it. I'm sorry, but if that's on your car, keep it on. If you can take it off, awesome. Rooftop tents, I would take off. That's a massive weight on your car 24 hours a day, unless you're going regularly. I would do that. That's my personal opinion. I've always said that, because the wind drag, not to mention the extra weight on your car, that is a genuine, it's hurting you. It's hurting the vehicle's reliability more than anything. But yeah, I hope my rant and my advice and my talking on this has not triggered anyone or made anyone upset. I'm happy to hear the feedback, but I'm just putting my personal opinion out there. I'm just being openly honest, because, it's funny. I just say that my school camp fees came in for the kids. There's $405 per student for 2 nights camping, grade 3 camping. That's fair enough. I know it was obviously cheaper years ago, but look, insurance, running costs and all that, they've got to pay someone to do it. And not to mention, they've got to pay the teachers. That's only fair enough. These teachers are out there protecting our kids and doing their thing along with the camp people. I honestly thinking about going to camp with my kids, because, grade 3 camp, I'm not worried about them being independent. I think they'll be absolutely fine. We're only a phone call away if we need be. But I like to go for the experience because I enjoy it. And, I know a lot of their kids' friends, their parents are a bit skeptical of them going with other kids, and me going would, make them a little bit more at ease about it, I guess. That's what I've been told. And that's fair enough. I'm happy to do it if I can do it. Obviously the first person I asked is the kids, and they're like, yeah, of course, please come. But, they always need parent helpers, so I might put my hand up. I'll report back on that one. But actually, it's funny, talking about networking with kids at my kids' school, their friends, they're doing the working bees, actually opened up a few conversations with some of the dads who are actually going to take the kids away and do things. So, another way of networking with your kids' mates and other people is do a work and be at the school. It's so much fun. It's so much more relaxed than the school drop off and pick up where you're literally dealing with screaming kids, like bonding over some, filling up mulch and sand and cutting trees and doing all the weeding at the school and then having a barbie after. Like, that is the best. I miss it. I remember Dad doing it in the 90s. The kids would be running around like pork chops and, the parents would be working and have a couple of beers after. You can't do that these days, apparently. But, yeah, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what we do next in that and actually flourish and go from there. This will probably be the last time you hear me solo as well. I've got everything booked in for the next few weeks. I'm not going to tell you who and when, but it's all happening, which I'm pumped about. I bet you're probably sick of hearing me and me only all the time, but, the numbers of people listening are growing, so we must be doing something right. Appreciate you all listening. But, we've all got the rising costs, but what can we do to help? What I've implemented is meal planning. I've got a week's worth of meal planning I've done. I cook in batches. The kids know what they're having every night for dinner when they're here, and they know what we're having for breakfast. Just the food bill's gone down from planning. Buying less stuff to fill the pantry, but actually using it all rather than having, curry powder there from 1919. Like sitting in our I'm drastic 2019, whatever. But, just doing things like that. I'm happy to put them on, what you can do to save for that further trip and put some money away in just stuffing around the house in the kitchen, basically. So, Marketplace, I've sold off a lot of the stuff that I haven't been using. It's $10 here, $20 there. But, hey, say you sold $100 of stuff on Marketplace, that's $3.20. That's a fair bit of tank. It's a bit of fuel in the tank. It's not bad. So, yeah, I think there's ways that the government can help us, keep through this process by incentive people to, not be locked up in their homes all the time and get out there and do something and save money in ways every day so you can plan for that further trip. I haven't seen anyone in the government telling you not to go to Bali or Fiji and jump on a plane. I know Qantas and Jetstar have just cancelled a lot of their flights, like sort of dead flights. They've got like half full and just going to put them on other flights or refund them. But, people are still going to be pumping to Bali. People are still going to be pumping to Europe in the winter. Like that, no one's ever said restrict your international travel, but restrict your travel in the country. I think that's just a bit funny. But, onwards and upwards. Do your own thing. Control your destiny. Control what you do with your family. And, don't give up on those plans on that trip. I hope that helps. I'm happy to, take any messages on this. I'm happy to give advice of places to go to save some money. In Victoria particularly. I'm sure there'll be, some great places you can go to in even just reduce the trip to a day less or even extend it a day more to go somewhere further but cheaper. Happy to help. Please let me know. And yeah, going away May. If you want to come. Other than that, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day. I'll be back with a guest and then a guest after that. So look forward to it. It should be a couple of weeks away. I know this one was 3 weeks away, but, life's been busy. And I greatly appreciate everyone being patient with me returning. So have a great one and speak soon. Cheers.